Hello, and welcome to this week's episode of 9 to 5 Nerds with Robert Swathwood, Katrina Swathwood.
Hello.
Emma Gastelum.
Hi.
And Leo.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we're good. We're good. I always just say I need to stop saying
Shot. No?
As of the dropping of this episode, our Patreon episode is up. I just wanted to touch on that if you want to listen to it. It's almost 2 hours of us talking about...
Which you were really surprised that we reached that mark.
Yeah, it was a long episode.
It was really long.
It was just over an hour and 42 minutes. No, we talked about we're doing this big movie challenge where we took the top 200 most essential movies in cinematic history, and we took out all the ones that we had all seen, and we're watching them. So this last week we watched Moonlight, Fury Road, and A Clockwork Orange.
Oh, nice.
A good movie.
I finally saw Clockwork Orange.
When?
I want to say like a month ago.
That's
when Mom
it?
was here.
Okay, so we'll touch base on that in a second.
Okay.
But it was really funny. There was a lot of laughing. But now that
appropriate laughing,
yes,
should say.
Appropriate laughing. Well, you guys are younger, and I first saw it when I was probably 14 or 15. Alan, who was here, read the book when he was like 11. And then saw the movie
totally
when he was
inappropriate.
Like 12.
That's about when I read the book. I didn't watch the movie for a few years, but I read the book when I was still pretty young.
Horribly inappropriate.
Oh, yes.
That's what Mom said, that she saw Clockwork Orange in the movie theaters at like around like 12 or between like 12 and 14.
It's the equivalent of my dad taking me to see Seven when it came out in theaters. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I've seen Seven. Yeah. Mom wouldn't let me watch it for the longest time.
There's a reason.
I watched Nightmare on Elm Street when I was 5.
I watched Chucky when I was 5.
Yeah, that was my...
That spawned my weird horror movie obsession.
Those are
Chucky?
like horror movies, but like Clockwork Orange is like different.
It's a different level.
Different brand.
We'll get there.
Chucky, coincidentally, I think also started my fear of dolls and mannequins and
I think that's just like a normal reaction to weird things like that. Like my grandma used to get me these like China Precious Moments dolls when I was little, and they used to scare the crap out of me. And since they were porcelain, like they would clink.
No.
I don't understand.
I don't like the thought of hearing like clink 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 in the middle of the night. No. Like that brings like
Have you ever seen Tales from the Crypt?
Yes.
Have you seen Tales from the Hood?
I think so.
Yeah.
It's the same thing, kind of an anthology series. There were several stories, but one of them, it's all based on African American stuff. Well, not like
mythology and stuff.
No, not even quite like that. Like, but no, one of them had to do with. I'm recalling this from like 20 years ago.
Urban legends.
Give me a second. We can talk about urban legends if you want.
Oh. Yes.
We'll get there. It's so fucking stupid.
Anyways,
no, but it was this lady that held all these porcelain dolls, and one of them was black, and it ended up coming alive, and it ended up killing. They were like plantation owners, and they like rebelled and killed the owners and stuff. It was entertaining.
Interesting.
No, but A Clockwork Orange that young is
not good,
not appropriate. And Alan and I, Katrina and Brian had just watched it for the first time now, but Alan and I had seen it when we were younger, and we discussed how it was watching it when we were younger, when both of us were much more drawn to violence than we are as adults, where I think you become more sensitive and
more aware of right and wrong.
Not even that.
I don't even think it's that. I think it's like a fantastical.
I almost think more compassionate as an adult than like when I was younger. I was drawn to those ultra-violent movies and stuff like that. But as an adult, I still like watching those movies, but I see them much differently. As not even just like when I saw it at 14, and then when I watched it again as a late teenager, then in my 20s, and then in my mid 30s now, it's much different. Like we had discussed. There's the first fight scene where that other gang is getting ready to rape that girl, and they show up. When I was younger, I thought they were the heroes. I thought they were coming to stop this girl from getting raped, and that was not the case at all. They're just there to
fight and scrap
and stuff, because it was just just little things like that. And Katrina and I had discussed. I'm not going to go entirely into it because we have a paid episode for that. But how we were discussing if any of us had the sexual prowess to actually please two people at the same time, which no. But for me,
it's a lot of work.
But I always thought that when he picked up the two girls in the record store, it was consensual. But she was saying, and Alan was saying as well, that they keep trying to get up to get dressed to leave, and just because it isn't violent doesn't mean it's not rape.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. And as they keep trying to get up to leave, he keeps bringing them back and undressing them, and there's nothing forced in it, but it is still.
It's an unwillingness that you can sense.
They want to go, but he's not letting them go.
Yeah.
And I didn't
catch that
until this time when we watched it and discussed it.
Well, I don't think you caught it until we started talking about it.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things that isn't really talked about in society, is this kind of passive-aggressive rape that actually exists in the world. Because people see and talk about rape and it's violent, it's aggressive, it's the unknown person, and we really don't talk about as a society, wives being raped or girlfriends being raped, or, it happens, and it's just harder to pinpoint because sometimes people are left, well, it's kind of like when Invincible, when Mark gets raped. Did I want that? Did I... You know what I'm talking about? Like, he goes through this, recollection and telling Eve about what happened.
And it's a lot different when it's spun on the other end.
Right. Like, he didn't know if he did something and, he was able to perform. So did he, in a sense, want it to happen? Like, I thought it was a really interesting take.
This is one of the few times that we've actually had 3 women on this. I mean, you guys were on before, but Anthony was here. So
okay. You're the lone man.
I'm the lone man this time. And you don't hear... I'm assuming men do get raped.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure it's not as common.
I don't know. A lot of pedophilia is between men and men.
Yeah, that's true.
And the other problem is it's so, it's not touched on so much. Yeah. It's so, oh, well, you're a guy, you can't get raped. It's that kind of mindset that keeps it so much in the dark that people assume it doesn't happen as often.
It's when you see a female teacher molest a male child, 90% of guys are like, oh, I bet you liked it. No, there's a power manipulation there.
Right.
And
they're the submissive.
It really fucks with your head.
Yeah. I've luckily never been put in that kind of situation, but there was one instance, and I don't know if I've ever talked to you about this, at work at Home Depot, where this girl kept... I don't get flirted with, but I thought it was just flirting. And at one point she keeps pushing and pushing and pushing and saying all this provocative stuff to me. And I was like,
it's unwanted at a certain point.
Yeah, this is what the fuck are you doing?
That's called sexual harassment.
Yeah, and I've never been in a situation like that. And I didn't think about it until
it dawned on you one day.
Years later when, stuff comes out and I'm like, that was sexual harassment. I'm not saying I was assaulted or anything like that, but I'm just saying that it was an unwanted sexual advance. And I'm just kind of like, this is gross.
Yeah.
What's really interesting is I'm taking a ton of AOJ and criminal law classes right now. But last semester I took criminal law, and one of the things was that when we handled sexual abuse cases and stuff like that was the definition of molestation versus everything else, because legally on a technical term, molestation can count even as a pedophile or someone bothering a child or saying provocative stuff or telling them hey, come here, come with me, that can count as sorry,
it's okay,
that can count as molestation and stuff. It's just the bothering and annoyance legally, they use the word annoyance of a child and provoking them into coercing them into going with you or saying things. People can get charged for just doing that, which I thought was really interesting because I didn't know that, because I think we use molestation. When you say molestation, it comes up as touching, inappropriate touching and stuff like that, but it doesn't need to be, which I thought was really interesting.
Yeah.
Well, there's other ways to psychologically control people.
Yeah.
And that was one of the things that when I was growing up, I was trying to convey to my dad, that just because he didn't hit me or he didn't physically do anything to me didn't mean that he wasn't abusive.
Right.
And people have different levels of understanding and what they consider to be abuse and or manipulation.
Well, I was psychologically abused.
So was I.
Unbelievably. But physically abused. My mom beat the shit out of me one time all the other stuff she did. But one time, because she thought I stole something, one of my friends had let me borrow a video game. But, like, kicking while I was on the ground. This is a really upper episode.
Yeah. We're kicking it off really friendly and fun.
Mine was just heavy. And for lots and lots of drug use. Not me personally, my mom. But Parker and I talked about this for the first time in very, very, very vague sense.
Right.
That we were talking about, we're coming home from a baseball game, and we were talking about something, I can't remember what it was now. And it came up to my mom, and I said, I don't know where my mom is. And we were talking about it. And they do, like, the drug-free weeks and stuff at school. And I said, you know when you do those drug-free weeks? And he's like, yeah. And I was like, well, my mom used a lot of drugs. And that's why she's not around anymore. I was like, I don't know. She's still alive. I don't know where she is. And it was me talking about taking him to baseball games and stuff. And how he asked me if I had ever played sports. And I said, my mom never put me out for sports. And he's like, why not? And we got into it that way.
It's always a fun conversation, bringing out skeletons that you really kind of put away and didn't really want to think about.
Especially with kids so young.
He's 9. He'll be 10 this year. It's starting to build a foundation of understanding.
Yeah.
And not
how
keeping.
old he is now.
Yeah, I know, right?
And it's with everything. It's like a girl kissed him at school.
What?
Last year.
Oh?
Yeah. And I'm like,
my baby.
Was that okay? And he was like, he didn't say no. It wasn't anything like that, but I'm like, you need to, it's laying a foundation of if somebody doesn't want you to touch them or you don't want somebody touching you. You need to respect
that.
You, not only are you okay saying that you don't want that, but you can't do that to somebody else that doesn't want it. And I'm not getting into specific terms about molestation or rape or anything now, but building that now hopefully raises to adult men who
it's just going back to that idea later on in more detail. Because we're getting close to the sex talk with him because he needs to understand, and I don't want his stupid little friends putting anything in his head. And
and school's just not a good place for sex ed.
No,
and it's important at home because I remember we had extensive like family life discussions when I went to school, and I went to Catholic school. And it was actually very scientifically based. And thinking back on what I learned in school, I learned so much about HIV and AIDS that when I went to college and I heard a college professor say basically that the only way that you would get HIV and AIDS is because you were being promiscuous, I almost like walked out of class. Being in a public institution where they're responsible for the education of young adults and they are basically issuing propaganda for the church in a public setting, I was extremely offended, and I was like 18 years old. So I apparently went to a very progressive Catholic school, and they thought it was more important to give us all the facts and let us make those decisions for ourselves instead of pushing we're the church, you don't do that, you're supposed to be abstinent, sex doesn't exist. So we're just trying to come from a different approach as parents to kind of keep communication open versus, oh no, you don't need to worry about that.
Well, you also get this whole right-wing bullshit that it's so hard for a white male to live in the world or stuff. Fuck you. I mean, and I'm saying that as a white male. I'm raising two white males, and it's not like they're going to be like, oh, I can't date because I might be accused. Just be a good fucking person and respect people's boundaries, and you're not going to get fucking labeled, these kind of people.
It's not hard.
No, it's not hard.
It's not a hard thing to do.
It's not hard to be a decent person. You just got to want to be.
I'll be 35 this year, and I've said some stupid ass shit when I was a younger teenager.
So have I.
To girls, but I've never
crossed the line.
I've never crossed a line. I haven't. I've never inappropriately touched anybody. I accidentally brushed up against my supervisor's butt at Home Depot one time, and I turned beet red, and I didn't know what to do with my hands, and I walked away real fast, super embarrassed because I'm not
that guy.
I'm not that guy. Like I can't do that. I just
fun. It is really interesting rounding back to like what you said about like your Catholic school. Like I know like even like Texas and a lot more of like the southern states teach a lot of abstinence, and they have like one of the like more highest pregnancy rates in like the United States
because they're not educated,
right? And I just think it's really cool and interesting that you had a Catholic school like that, because it's not very common with Catholic schools, but there's such an like even now like when we had sex ed, it wasn't as extensive as like that.
And that was grade school. Like when I got into high school, it wasn't as, there was the teachers that were very, very liberal. And then there was the teachers that were like the brothers who were like basically busting from the rectory to teach class, who were very, very conservative. So, but there was definitely
it's funny the Catholic Church trying to teach anybody anything at this point.
Right? Yeah, they're getting their lessons again.
I mean, it's just about, I saw somebody said that if clowns did the same stuff that the church did, nobody'd be fucking hiring a clown.
No.
You get
Circus was to be over.
Yeah, but the Catholic Church is still there.
It's because they are a governmental institution. It's got nothing to do with religion and being a good person and following Jesus. It's got everything to do with money.
And what's crazy
and controlling people
is followers of organized religion are consistently going down every single year.
Correct.
They're losing massive amounts of followers because people are just not buying it anymore.
It's just essentially another form of government to control the masses, to, you know, it's a funnel for money, because when you go to church, you give money.
Yeah.
So like when I was going to Catholic school, the first step that I went through was, oh, well, she's not baptized. She can't go to school here unless you baptize her. So I was baptized in kindergarten. Otherwise, I wasn't going to be allowed to return for the first grade year. So that was step one. Well, then step two is like, oh, we'll give you a reduction on your tuition if you come and give alms on Sunday during church. Well, what's the point of giving alms on Sunday and getting a discount because you're still paying the money? Right. So my dad was just kind of like, fuck that. I'm not doing that. We went to church on Easter and Christmas. So we were holiday Catholics.
I hated those people. I went to a Lutheran church, and I went to church every Sunday and youth group every Wednesday for like 10 years.
And the thing about the church, though, is what they teach you in, like, I would say Catholicism class.
We're going to get to fun stuff here.
Yeah, we will. Is that the church isn't an institution or a place. It's a gathering of people. Yeah. And you have to define what your church is. And so my dad said, our church is at home. We stay at home on Sundays, which, you know, we didn't really do that. But that was his excuse for why we didn't go to church and answering my dumb questions as a kid. So it's... the church and that whole thing is just a whole nother conversation. Yeah.
So what did you guys think of A Clockwork Orange?
I thought it was interesting. I like psychological things like that. I find them really, really interesting on like what you can twist and what you can see, especially like Mom rewatching it with me, and like the fact that she albeit with some censored parts, let Ethan sit and watch with us, which I thought was weird because I wasn't allowed to watch.
I was 14.
Yeah.
That's about the age I saw it.
Yeah, because I wasn't allowed to watch Clockwork Orange, and I wasn't allowed to watch Silence of the Lambs without Mom when I was that young. The first time I watched Silence of the Lambs was, I think, like 15 or 16 with Mom.
Corey, ask why there's such a double standard. I know you're listening. Ask why there's such a double standard between male and female. That's not right, man.
Yeah, Mom, come on. But she, like, would cover, like, which was, I always thought was weird, because, like, she raised me on, like, you know, got raised in, like, police family and true crime. So, like, I knew what
was up,
dangers in the world were happening, and I knew, and I read Silence of the Lambs, so it didn't really make a difference. But she still covered my eyes for, like, graphic stuff for Silence of the Lambs. And then I rewatched it, I think, a week later by myself, and was like, but... it was interesting to see, like, her, like, cover Ethan's, like, eyes at certain points, and just, like, to see what, like, she was shielding him from, which was more so, like, you know, the rape and stuff like that, and not, like, the violence and the fights, and, like, the part where he's, like, sitting, like, with his eyes strapped open, watching, like, you know, Nazi marches and everything like that. And I'm just, like...
the unpleasantness.
Yeah. Just, like, what, like, was covered, like, what we think should be covered in our society versus, like, what she let him see. I was like, interesting. Sorry, Mom. Didn't mean to call you out.
I used to be able to watch anything, and now anything with, like, drugs and kids, I'm, like, way too sensitive on. And I think it's because I've gone to therapy so much over the last couple years, and I have... dealt with a lot of shit, and now I'm just like,
you've opened those red rooms.
Yeah. I'm just like, eh.
Well, it's funny because I'm taking my class this semester. My criminal justice class this semester is criminal evidence, and the chapter we're on right now is witnesses, and we're like writing down notes on like all the witnesses, like what like qualifies for witnesses, who can be a witness and who can't. And we got to the part with kids, and it's an online class, so I'm taking notes at home, and I couldn't get through it because like it dawned on me that like legally kids that are 10 years legally kids that are 10 years old and older are competent to stand as a witness in a trial, and in special cases kids under 10 can stand as witness in trials, but it's up to the jury's discretion on whether or not they want to believe them. But like it like dawned on me that we have kids as young as 10 who need to come like
march into a courtroom.
Yeah, come as a witness and testify against like these things that they've seen, whether it be like against like a molester or against like a murder, or like it like I remembered all these like 911 calls with like kids calling because like their parents have died or like something happened, and I'm just like I just started like crying because it like there's so many,
it's a lot of trauma,
bad things in this world, and it breaks my heart that kids that young have to go through things like that.
That's why I didn't start. I've always had an anxiety issue, but I didn't know what it was. I thought everybody felt that way until once we had kids, it got so much worse because I didn't have any parents really there. I moved in with my grandparents when I was 9, but I didn't have any parents there, and the paranoia of not being there for them has given me such a bad... I'm on an upswing now. I think I'm doing pretty well, but I was so bad for so long, freaking out about not being around. I'm like, whatever. I've got a lot of life insurance.
Yeah. I mean, it's weird with anxiety because, like, I mean, I don't have kids, obviously.
It makes everything
but, like,
worse.
I imagine,
emotionally.
Like, I imagine with, like, because I have, like, my depression and anxiety, like, and I have those moments of, like, oh, God, I can't take care of myself. And then I'm, like, if I have a child and, like, right now I'm, like, so anxious and, like, worried and paranoid about things, I can't even imagine.
It gets worse.
Having to... Oh, that's good. Having to care for, like...
the being worried every single day about all of it.
Yeah.
Worrying about, I don't even want to go down this road.
It's a bad rabbit hole.
I'm gonna
switch gears.
Spin this. How was the convention?
It was fun.
It was really fun. I'm just sitting here listening to all of this. Like, my family is very, very different from any of your upbringings, so it's like weird to hear.
That's not a bad
normal
thing.
No, we're Asians.
We're Asians.
There's a common sense of the ability to like stand on your own
and repress.
That's just like expected as like a kid. Like my mom's upbringing is like could be a novel, could be an entire like not an action novel, but maybe a really depressing one. There was a play that just got made about Korean Americans immigrating here as children. My mom's life was that, so hearing that play come out, like, I almost took her to it, but she said she wasn't interested because she lived through it and just laughed at me.
Like, it's no big deal, it's just life.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, growing up on that sort of family, the same sort of, like, growing up with anxiety but not knowing what it is, that's just, like, everyday life and normalcy. So you kind of learn very quickly to cope with it because there's no helping hand or nothing to like guide you.
Yeah. I kept that all inside until maybe, I don't know, 10 years ago, 11 years ago, when I was just starting to have kind of just not breakdowns. Well, yeah, I guess maybe
it's when Oliver came.
Really?
That I think you started to kind of lose your handle on it.
Because that my body started breaking down.
Yes.
And like I can compartmentalize this stuff, and I'm like, okay, I'll put this here and this here and this here, and I can handle everything. But when my body started breaking down, the more
plates you start to spin,
that's what I said in therapy.
The more it becomes less controllable.
I said I feel like I'm spinning plates, and if I stop, one's gonna fall. And
because when you've got one, it's easy to control it. And
although what's funny is I've become even more busy now, and I feel better being even busier.
It's because you're keeping your brain occupied, and so the anxiety is still there, and those fears are still there.
Stop talking about this.
Yeah, we can switch to con now. It's just it's very like surreal to hear about because I have like very little concept besides. It's more like sympathetic. Like I can hear it and I can imagine it and relate to it, but like I don't have any personal relationship to those sorts of scenarios.
And that's okay.
Different novels. Con was really fun.
Yeah, was it your first time to DC?
It was my first time to DC, yes.
How were you surprised at how it looked, or what were you expecting?
Were you actually in DC?
No. We saw like a very small percentage of anywhere really, just because con itself is kind of like its own little town.
How many attendees are at this?
There were a lot of people there.
More than I have fingers.
There were no caps on tickets for sure, but there were a lot of people crammed into one hotel.
Not like Comic-Con, a lot of people.
WonderCon? 60,000?
More than
between
WonderCon.
WonderCon and Comic-Con.
Okay.
Yeah.
More than WonderCon, less than Comic-Con.
It's like East Emerald City Comic Con.
Yeah, they
You
might
can
put
walk
caps on
around,
tickets for
but-
next year,
yeah.
is what I'm guessing. But
Probably. It was nice though. It was cold. I was cold.
Well,
I
it's
was
East
not cold.
Coast.
Like, what's cold?
Like it
40s?
was snowing the day we left.
Oh, okay.
So yes, but like
So,
40s. It was like
40s?
one of the days we went to like a kind of rave. And
What's a kind of rave?
there were no drugs. It's just a lot of cosplayers and glow sticks.
and
And
a lot
loud
of
music.
drinking and
And loud
alcohol,
music.
but
Yeah, not
Oh,
us.
well,
not
you
us,
know.
unfortunately.
Just a lot of like cosplayers just going absolutely
Out of their
ham.
mind.
There were
Yes.
probably drugs, but not like
Not that I
not
was
like
aware of.
normal rave level of drugs.
Okay, I've never been to a rave, so I don't know what
Neither
a
have I. That was
I don't know what a normal rave level.
I've heard
type
a
drugs.
good amount of rumors. I know a lot of people who have been to raves.
The attendance in 2016 was 17,000.
Huh?
So you got to figure at least triple from that
yeah.
Yeah,
because these things tend to happen
Yeah.
grow and cluster
Yeah.
and fester.
But yeah,
faster.
after the rave we like walked out and I was in like nylons and fishnets over it and I was like, oh, it's like 34 degrees.
How many different outfits?
counting on Raven and Starfire Thursday night. Friday was Denki, Kaminari, and Kirishima.
Yeah.
Saturday
You're about to.
Saturday was just the rave outfits.
Oh yeah.
Because we stayed at the hotel and did homework like really responsible college students. It was a strange morning.
It was.
And then Sunday I had 2 outfits and you had 1.
Yeah.
So I had 5, you had 4.
Yeah.
If you want to promote your Instagrams again, you can, so people can see the costumes.
Nothing's been uploaded on mine yet, but my Instagram is Grimm's little sister because I'm edgy.
Because why not? My cosplay Instagram, you can find me at unity.cos, which is UNITY.cos.
You guys don't have Twitter accounts, right?
I
don't use mine.
I have a Twitter, but it's more for my art
Okay.
account.
Because I can't do any sort of promoting on Instagram because we only have 100 and something followers, but on Twitter we have a fair amount of followers.
That's fair. My Twitter account is slightly different from my art Instagram account.
How many different names do you? I couldn't keep track
Do
of
I
it.
have?
Yeah.
Well, I only have like 2 main ones.
I have
Well,
my main
3 now.
one for all my podcast stuff, and then I have my personal one, and then I have the one that I go around trying to hook up on, Katrina.
Nice.
Yeah, my dating one.
Your dating one?
Yeah.
Your Bumble
Secret Tinder?
account?
Yeah,
Yes.
I have a Tinder account.
Oh God.
My Twitter is kind of sketchy art, and then my Instagram is kind of sketchy artwork.
Okay.
I kind of post on there sometimes.
But
yeah,
it was
I
a good
don't.
con.
Yeah,
It was a really good time.
What's the next con you guys are going to?
Comic-Con for me.
I'm going to WonderCon and then Anime Expo and then Comic-Con.
We'll be at Comic Fest, which is the first weekend of March. No, second weekend of March.
Not this weekend. The following weekend.
And then we'll be at WonderCon, which is the 4th weekend of March.
We'll
It's
see.
like the last few
It's-
days.
yeah,
last
it's
the
3
last
days,
because I'll be in
29th through
Vegas.
31st.
No,
No.
just
That's the weekend after Vegas.
Yeah.
And then we'll
But
be at Comic Con.
My
Maybe we'll
thinking
see you
is that
there.
they're going to be moving baseball pictures to that weekend. So,
WonderCon weekend?
yep, that's what they
Struggle.
did the last time. So we shall see.
If you are up at WonderCon, I will try and find you and say hi
Okay.
in between running around in various costumes.
And
We
going
go up-
outside and
We leave
taking
at 6 in
pictures.
the morning from
Ooh.
here, and we just go for the day.
Yeah.
We
And
usually leave around like 1:00.
Yeah.
That's solid.
Yeah. But we're taking Alan, and he hasn't been before, so I don't know how long. As long as we're taking Brian. Brian has really short legs, and we'll be through like 3 or 4 aisles before he's done with one, and then he wants to do a second walk around. I'm like, guy,
Just leave him.
we can't do that.
We'll meet up later. Choose a spot
He
in the
does. He has
convention
short
hall and
little
meet up.
legs.
He catches up. I don't know how he does it.
I think he ends up cutting through until he finds us.
Okay.
Yeah.
Those are the worst people, though, because they always look like they're on a vendetta to, like, kill someone.
I think that's just me at the convention in general. Because when I have my kids in tow, I'm just like, oh my god.
If there are kids in tow, you leave, like, a 3-foot radius. That's just,
Yeah.
like, an unspoken rule.
You'd think so.
You really hope so.
At Comic-Con, we do Wednesday and Thursday on our own, and then we take the kids like casually Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Did you guys watch the movie?
Yes. We
So-
watched
We
it in
did.
Virginia.
Okay.
Did
so
you? Okay.
the movie was What We Do in the Shadows.
And what did you think?
I love that movie.
I was not expecting it, but I was very happy at the ending of it.
Isn't it a good movie?
It was so funny.
I just had no idea what was going to happen. It started off, I was like, oh, I kind of love this.
Like, we started watching it, and I was like, I hope there's not, like, 2 movies called this, and we're not just watching this, like, vampire one. It's, like, the wrong one.
movie.
And we come back, and we're, like, talking about it, and you guys are like,
Small
what?
fear. You could have told us we watched the wrong thing, and we probably would have believed you.
Aw. We
But
should have
you're
done
missed
that. I'm not
opportunity.
that smart.
Next time.
No, it was our movie of the year.
2 years ago.
2016? Is it 2016 or
Oh, I
2017?
don't know.
But it's so fucking good. They're making a TV show now.
I am
gonna be on
excited
FX.
for the TV show.
yes.
But I
So who was your favorite vampire?
Peter.
Of course.
Yeah, Peter,
love
hands
Peter.
down.
is Peter the old one?
Yes.
Yeah.
He's the
Tragic.
old one.
I like Vladislav. Is that his name?
Oh,
Yes.
Vladislav
I think
was
so.
good.
I'm a big Jermaine Clement fan. I love him from that to Flight of the Conchords. Anything he's in. I love when he fucking changes into cat, but he can't change his face. I want a pop figure of him trying to change into a cat, but he can't change the face.
I liked all the lead up to the Beast, and then it was his ex-girlfriend. I was like,
But everything, man, like Stu.
yeah,
He's great.
I love Stu.
I love Rice Darby. We're werewolves, not swearwolves. But there's really not a bad part of the movie.
No.
Like,
There's not.
Well,
gotta
even
watch
the
it
lady
again.
who's like the what's she called?
The regular
Familiar.
Familiar. Thank you. I knew I was gonna.
I even liked her. She was pretty good.
They showed up when he showed up to her house and was like, I was gonna turn you into a vampire, and then your spot got moved, and she had like all the kids running around.
Like when I haven't watched it in a while. What's the guy that was the youngest vampire? He got bit and he was
Deacon?
Was his name Deacon?
No,
The
it was some ordinary name.
The new guy. I
Yeah.
don't remember his name.
Oh,
The
new
Maori
guy. Okay.
I think he was Maori. I'm
Yeah.
assuming they were because they filmed it in New Zealand.
Yeah, I think he's Maori. What was
can't
his name?
But when he tries to eat French fries and then he's like,
Twilight.
You
He's
shouldn't
vomiting.
eat that. I can't
yeah,
even
he's
eat
just throwing up
chips.
everywhere.
I'm just gonna go with Twilight, but yeah, he
That
was
sounds that'll work.
I'm a vampire.
the amount of
Telling
like
everyone.
there are like shitposts on Tumblr that are hilarious and just go on like long rants of like, what if this was like this? Like, what if vampires were just
Nick.
casual?
Nick.
Nick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This movie was like the embodiment of
If
a
what they
Tumblr
were casual?
shitpost.
And that's Taika Waititi. He directed the last Thor movie. Like
It was amazing.
like he's
Well, him and Taika and Jermaine are taking care of the show, so that'll be great.
next is you gotta watch Flight of the Conchords. If you like that kind of, I really like that kind of dry.
Fly the Conchords is a little bit more rough around the edges.
If you like funny music, I mean,
It's got great funny music, and the two flatmates, as they would say, because they're in New York, but they're just really weird, different.
Have you seen how movies get made in New Zealand?
No.
Do you know how this is?
The
government
country, yeah,
government pays for
subsidizes
them.
for-
So I
yeah.
mean, you have to like apply for like basically like a grant,
Oh my god.
and they pay for the movie. So you'll see like financing by.
That's the one thing I love about Fly of the Conchords. When he goes into the consulate, there's always like, "Oh, come to New Zealand!" Like, you know, there's like a Lord of the Rings throwback on one
I
of
would
the posters.
fucking love to go to New Zealand.
It's
So
just
yeah.
That's
it's
on my
hilarious.
list.
That's on Mom's list too.
It's just, it's so expensive to go there.
You know,
And then the
walk
flight-
to Mordor.
You're gonna have to look like an 18-hour flight probably.
I think it's like 22 hours.
Ever since I watched Lost, anything that like is a plane towards like Australia or anything,
That's
I'm, like,
the
a little
worst fucking
sketched out
show.
on. Hey, I liked it. I cried multiple times.
That's a terrible show. Did you watch this show?
She tried to get me to watch
It
it. I
wasn't
watched
good, huh?
like one episode.
I
We did
watched,
too.
We watched one and we were like, this.
No.
And I know you really
have a
can't
short
judge by
attention.
one, but I'm just like, this
It got
is-
good. It got really good, and then it got kind of weird, and then it got good, and then like kind of weird again, and then I cried at the end.
See, like the only thing that we've watched where we kind of had to hold on was for Parks and Rec, and I'm glad we did.
Yeah, I watch
But-
it a lot now.
Yeah, we do. So they liked it.
Yes, I liked the introduction to Peter. Because he's just-
I really
I got
hope
you a
Peter comes back in
chicken.
this TV show somehow, some way.
Did you watch the trailer for it yet?
no, not yet.
Yeah, there's a trailer out for it. It looks pretty good. It's gonna be on FX.
There's a little bit different twist to it, but it'll
Yeah.
it's going to translate.
Is it supposed to be here? Or is it
It's supposed to be in New York.
there? Okay.
That's the setting.
Well, there's much more people to interact with than
Yeah.
they had that one bar that they were allowed to go to, and they had to be invited in. They couldn't just go in. How did they get in? Did it say all are welcome?
Yeah,
You've watched it more recently.
Something like that.
It's been a little while.
And the bouncers like welcome them in.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
We've watched it half a dozen times at this point.
It was good.
Yeah.
It gets thrown on in the background sometimes for a little bit.
I can't wait till we can start showing the kids that stuff.
Well, we kind of already did.
What?
We showed Parker Mighty Python
Oh,
Yeah.
Classics.
nice.
and the Holy Grail.
Yeah.
Nice,
Half the
nice.
time he was like laughing, and the other half of the time he's like, "What the hell is going on in this?"
And that's
It's a good
that's the
reaction.
appropriate reaction
It
for
is.
that
Yeah.
movie.
Well,
is.
it keeps going from like that documentarian guy gets killed, and it keeps going back to like the police investigating his murder, and he's like, "Why does it keep?"
And that's exactly what I did when I watched it in high school. Ooh.
Yeah, I know. I never
Rookie.
do that. Well, he's at an age where he's 9. He'll be 10 this year that we're starting to show him more stuff. I showed him half of The Dark Knight. He really wasn't that interested.
Oh,
But I showed
I think he's going to be a late bloomer when it comes to like
Movies?
cinema stuff. Yeah.
I showed him Talladega Nights. I probably shouldn't have.
I watched that pretty young.
I didn't realize
Yeah.
how much.
I just told Robert to be ready to answer questions because there's a lot going on in that movie that he doesn't quite understand.
Speaking about having conversations with kids, so you guys know about this stupid fucking urban legend that's going around, right?
Which
The Momo.
oh my God.
Oh,
Okay.
that's
It's
So
still
that
stupid.
happened a while ago.
Yeah, I know.
And
Yeah.
I don't know why it's suddenly resurfacing because like that's
Because the
stuff-
superintendent of the Santee School District sent out
Emailed all
an
of
email
us
today to
Oh.
parents.
that happened like last year. Like
I
it was
know.
literally like mid last. And see, because
It's okay.
I follow stuff like that because like I like creepy stuff
bullshit.
and like like urban legends. Like I like if you look at my like YouTube subscription, it's all like here's this creepy thing debunked and like all this stuff. That's all I do is like true crime or like creepy things. So like I saw it when it first became popular, like last year, and I was like following it. And I was like, the face is kind of creepy, but like I know like the what it was created for and like blah blah. Blah. I don't care. It was like debunked and I figured out, and then it like one of the people I follow on Twitter who like covered it like said something about it, and I was like, why is this in the news again?
Yeah. Well, I think
It's making the cycle.
and it's more like like the picture's creepy, and it's
Yeah.
it's a sculpture from a.
It's really
lady.
annoying because my friend cosplays a character whose
looks like
name
that?
is Momo Yaoyorozu.
Okay.
So if I tag anything
That pops
as
up.
that character, that pops up and suggested it. And so like going through stuff at 3 a.m, I'm like, I didn't need to see this for like a 65th time. Like
Yeah.
I can pass.
Well, the thing is uneducated older parents are posting about it a lot on the local thing on Facebook page, and I'm like,
It just fuels the fire.
yeah. And as I said, I was like, you're just giving it legs. I was like, there are no videos. If there were videos of it, they would be everywhere. You'd be able to find them.
The like videos like challenge videos like died out last year when it like during the like week and a half hype it had, but they weren't anything like
Substantial.
substantial. No, I watched like most of them. I was like,
So but you have to look at them through the lens of a child and how
Yeah.
serious that is. And
My kid who gets terrified of gremlins.
So I just said the word, and Parker's like,
see, but the thing is that for me at least, and this is exactly the same thing I have like with dolls and mannequins and everything. That's the uncanny valley. It's the whole like the features of the statue are like human enough to be identified like by our brains as a human, but they're just off-putting enough with the elongated face and
Yeah.
the really wide eyes and everything that it's
Unsettling.
unsettling. Same as seeing like robots or like dolls or anything that like are kind of off or like.
have you ever seen that
stuff
movie
like
short, the Lights Off one? Where the lady's like,
Yes.
that.
We looked
I've-
at the characters of that
Ugh.
as a character study in costuming to study Uncanny Valley and like how we could use it to our advantage in making characters
was
like
a good short.
creepy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think I'm subscribed to the YouTube channel that did that. I think it's Crypt TV, but
Goosebumps.
stuff like that like is really interesting to me. But like it also like I have like a terrible fear of like dolls and mannequins and like stuff like that, and I just like seeing it like the first time I saw it, I was like, I don't like that.
Yeah.
But now like, not that I'm desensitized to it because it still like makes me squirm and everything, but it's not like something I'm like, whatever.
Well, I said, so do you know about this thing? And Parker's like, somebody showed me today, and blah, blah, blah. A picture.
Children are wild.
A picture. And I'm like, I get blunt with him now. I'm like, it's garbage, dude. It's not real. But
he's easily scared.
Yeah, it did have to have a conversation about if anybody's asking you to do anything, or if anybody's trying to tell you to do something, or if anything, because it's like, take these pills or your family's gonna die, or kill yourself or your family's gonna die.
It reminds. I saw that and I was really surprised because I remember. I don't know if you guys ever heard of the Blue Whale Challenge.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it's reminding me of, and I was like, why is that? Why is the Blue Whale Challenge resurfacing? And then everyone was like, oh, it's the Momo thing. And I'm like, why is the Blue Whale Challenge now associated with creepy statue?
Yeah.
That was just weird to me. I don't know why things like this are popping up again.
Well, it's the definition of an urban. It's not real.
Right.
It's people spreading things word of mouth. I was just talking to Alan, and I guess when we were kids there was something called give me a second.
Reminds me of the chain emails and stuff like that.
Yeah.
That was what happened. That was our generation. Was the chain text messages and the chain emails and the
for this or someone's gonna die.
Yeah, those. I remember and the pop up YouTube videos.
There were a lot of chain.
It was called
text
a Blue
messages.
Man. It was a Blue Man urban legend, and I was like, he's like, you don't remember this? And I was like, no.
I feel like I know about that.
And it was out in Descanso, Jacumba area, and I guess it was an urban legend of mutants that were really pale to the point that you could see the bluish hue from their veins.
Yeah. Huh. I do know about that.
It's just not real.
That just makes me think of Blue Man Group.
Yeah, that's
very different.
It's a very different blue.
I've read a lot about urban legends and stuff like that because I find them interesting, and I like the scary ones because I mean, it's things kids used to do, Bloody Mary and everything like that, and I remember things with the boogeyman when I was younger and everything like that, and when me growing up in elementary school, I read a lot of Goosebumps, and I read Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. I still have those books, and I mean, granted I was the weird kid at school who read those, but
so was I.
I used to retell them to other kids because they were too scared to read them, so they would be from
Goosebumps.
me.
Which is funny because kids would run to the library to check out those books.
Goosebumps books?
No, the
Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
Yes,
yeah. I love those.
That was the book to check out. So if you were in the first group to the library, you knew somebody in that group was getting that book, and. With Parker, he refuses to read Goosebumps books. Robert's got a slew of the ones from when he was a kid, and Parker won't touch them. So I don't even think we can even bring out Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark.
No,
he'd probably cry.
See, what was really interesting, well, for me, and Ethan at least, for me, imagery, even now, is a lot more what scares me rather than words. Because I can read creepypastas or stories, and I think that's why Goosebumps didn't bother me that much, because the most that scared me was the picture of Slappy on the front of the Night of the Living Dummy. But reading words, I mean, I'm really imaginative, I can picture things really vividly, but that never scared me. But reading Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark scared me more because there was pictures, illustrations, and
those things were terrifying.
Yeah, and flipping the page and seeing that, I was always but Ethan, my little brother, was always about everything.
I've only ever been scared truly scared one time from either a movie or anything entertainment. Have you seen Sleepaway Camp?
No, not yet. It's on my list.
It doesn't scare me, but most things don't scare me.
It didn't scare me. It lulled me into this horribly 80s comic horror movie that was so fucking bad that I'm just what? That at the end when there's that scene and
I remember.
Didn't they raise her as a girl?
They raised the boy as a girl.
Yes.
So, but she's got this elongated face, and she's naked, and she's got this knife, and it caught me so off guard because I'm watching this whole movie and just laughing because it's so bad that it caught me off guard that even as having seen it 25 years ago for the first time, I still get goosebumps thinking about it to the point where
you're looking over your shoulder.
People have threatened to put that a pop out of this thing.
Oh, see, that's, and me and Mom go back and forth with that all the time. We'll mess with each other with that, and I'm always every time I see a Chucky doll or something, because that's what she hates. She hates Chucky and E.T., which I find really funny. But
Chucky and E.T.
She hates E.T. That's not even a joke. If you ask her, she hates.
He was a burning
So did she not like the dad in Haunting a Hill House? That was Elliot.
Yeah, it was Elliot. You've never been scared about anything.
She just hates E.T.
She hates E.T.
E.T. as a creature.
Alien. When we went to Universal in Florida, I made her go. She's well,
nice.
we have
she
to go
was
on the
so
E.T.
mad
ride
the entire
Ethan
time.
had never been on it. She was
That's the fun ride when they're dancing around and stuff.
Oh no, yeah, and it was hilarious. And then it said her name at the end, and she was like,
I can see her face.
I was like, I'm going to, yeah, right? I was like, I'm going to buy you all
talk
the
that way in
80s.
Vegas.
We should.
But yeah, I'm always like, I'm going to, like, I always mess with her. I'm like, I'm going to buy you a Chucky doll. She's like, I'm going to hire someone to hide under your bed. And I'm like,
That was gonna be
why
me.
would you do that?
That was gonna be me. I was gonna hide under your bed
That's amazing.
at one point.
I think the like false sense of security in like horror things is really funny and interesting. I know one of the things we used to do when we first became friends was watch like they were called cry reads by a YouTuber called Cryotic, but he'd read like animated scary stories.
That's how we first found out.
And a big part of why those were considered scary would be it'd be a really long, drawn out story, and he had a very like monotone voice, and then something would pop out and he'd like scream or something because he wasn't expecting it. It's like a live stream, and that
It scared the hell out of me.
Have you ever watched
that
Creep?
was hilarious.
Yes.
I love that fucking movie.
I love that movie so much.
Yeah, it's. Have you watched the second one?
I think so.
Second one's all right.
They
Third
kind
one.
of blend together.
I definitely
in my
haven't
brain.
seen the third one, but I've
The
definitely
third
seen
one's
the
not
first
out
one.
yet. Damn it! I was
that's
just. Yeah, I know. I'm a big fan of that. And we just put it on for no reason, and I'm just like, that was one of those things where it's just kind of, it's goofy and it's just kind of lonely.
Strange.
And the sound of the axe at the end, which is
Yeah.
like, I was like, this is awesome.
I love movies that like are so unsuspecting like that.
Yeah.
Like the ones that are like, oh, this is goofy and fun, and then like at the last minute
Catches
you're
you off
like,
guard.
it's not goofy and fun.
I also
anymore.
really like these minimalist, low budget, no cast. Like there was 2 people in that whole movie.
Yeah.
Or like Hush, which is from
Hush was really good.
Yeah, it's from
I like
the
this-
same people as well.
I like the sensory ones that have been coming out more recently, like Hush, and then there was the Don't Breathe, which
I
was
haven't
about
seen
the
it.
that one was about
It
the
was on
blind
our
guy.
DVR, but I never watched it.
Yeah, that one was about the blind guy, and I think they had one about. I can't remember. I think because Hush, she was mute too because she couldn't hear. But like, I like the ones with like depriving someone of their senses because like
Don't watch Mute. That movie is garbage.
Oh, that movie is bad.
Yeah.
It was not good.
So you watched it?
Yes.
But did you watch Moon?
No.
You need to watch that movie.
Okay.
Moon is from the same director, which is David Bowie's son.
Duncan Hunter.
Duncan Hunter is a shitty politician.
Oh, sorry.
was about to
Duncan
say.
Jones.
Sorry.
I was like, I don't think I've heard that name. I'm pretty bad with names in general, so I mean,
No, Moon is Sam Rockwell, and he's on the moon, and he's harvesting UV rays, basically.
Sunlight.
To send back to Earth as energy, but it's a bizarre movie, and it's in the same universe to the point where you actually see a trial on
In Mute
that would actually give away the twist in Moon. But Moon is an excellent movie, and I'd recommend it to anybody to watch. It's
definitely check
especially
it
if you
out.
like Sam Rockwell. He's such an interesting actor. I had a question I wanted
great
to ask, and
actor.
now I fucking can't remember.
Oh, no.
Sadness. It'll come back.
Yeah, I've seen a majority of horror movies, just in general. It's very.
That's actually a
rare.
fair
I didn't watch any
statement
for 8
you.
years.
Dang. I think I've seen all of the ones on Netflix, including Human Centipede, which I regret.
That's not even like horror. That's just like body horror.
Yeah, but
like,
it was in the
grotesque.
horror section. I
Yeah,
had to
you
watch
make a
it.
Did
bad
you watch
choice.
Hereditary?
Yeah,
Was
Yes.
it good?
I liked it.
I haven't watched it.
So the thing is, I saw that I saw the extended version, like the full version, and I didn't even know that there was like a difference because I saw it on an airplane, and it was like the like full like director's like
Don't tell me.
extended.
I
It
still
was
need to watch it.
crazy. I was like, I kept rewinding it because I would like look down at like because I was drawing at the same time. Don't draw. Don't do anything. Watch just
Focus.
Watch it. Focus on it.
So you've watched The Ritual then,
Yes.
which was on.
Was that the one with the in Poland?
No.
It's got on Netflix. It's got like The Mask, right?
It might. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
Guys
I've
Go
seen it.
Hiking?
Yeah. I saw that a couple years ago.
It was a fun movie.
I like
Robert
that
liked
movie.
that one.
I did.
Robert's more on the thriller side now. He's not on the horror side.
See, my problem is I've seen so many horror movies and I've read so much stuff and like I've like just like observed so much stuff that I'm like, there's not a horror movie that really like. I mean, I'll jump at things, but I jump easy. But there's not a horror movie that I found in a while that's been like.
Unless if there are dolls, mannequins, or anything.
Yes, I
Uncanny
will
Valley.
not watch Dead Silence anymore, and you cannot pay me enough to watch that. The last movie I remember like freaking out, like actually like being scared about was like the Conjuring series, and that's because me and Mom saw all of them in the theater, and that was the first time I watched a horror movie in the theater in like years. But we saw like both Conjurings in theater, and we saw Annabelle.
Horror movies are great in theaters.
Oh, they're fantastic in theaters. We saw all the Annabelle movies too in theaters, and I hated watching the
liked
Annabelle movies because they scared the hell out of me. And
We saw A Quiet Place in theaters.
Oh.
Which was, we went to like a fancy theater.
The Lot.
Have you seen A Quiet Place?
Yes.
Well, I mean, obviously the movie's fairly quiet.
Right. Oh, that was the other one that tied into my sensory ones, depriving people of like things.
But it wasn't the right movie to see there because you could hear people eating.
Oh.
Scraping of knives on plates and forks.
Because we went to the Lot, which is a nice theater, but it was just not the
correct theater.
They're making a sequel to it.
Oh, they
are?
Yeah,
they are. It's 5/25/20. It's the release date. Nice. I like John Krasinski. He's right there. Damn it, I had a fucking good question. Now I can't remember what it was.
You don't even like have a vein of where it was going?
I wanted to talk about the outrage on Captain Marvel, but
what's
really have kind of heard stuff about that, but like not like I like Marvel, but I'm not a huge.
Well, why don't you start
Marvel
with
person.
where that stemmed from? I'm assuming you're talking about no. Okay.
We were. It's just gonna be more me of hating people for being just
dumb.
Yeah.
It's valid.
It is. It's fucking ridiculous. It's to the point where Rotten Tomatoes had to get rid of their...
I heard that. That's what I heard about.
Yeah, they have a thing that says, it's the movie rating, and that's an aggregate of all the registered movie critics and what it is. And then it was like, what percentage of people want to see this? Usually for a Marvel movie, it's at like 98% plus. This is at 58% because there's fucking... so many people that are so sensitive that they are like, this movie's about a girl. That's not my superhero. And it's like... Shut up.
It was funny because I thought it was very interesting. I saw a post on Twitter about how people didn't feel this way when like Aliens came out and Sigourney Weaver being a lead in a movie like that. Like there wasn't as much backlash.
Aliens is like still a cult classic.
And what someone had said was, at that time and place, there wasn't this big social media presence.
Yeah,
so all of these people who are bigoted and misogynistic didn't really have steady access to inflict their view on the public, which is true. So they were still there.
It's not as loud.
They're not as loud. So now that everybody has a voice and everybody has an opinion, they're going to do what they want to do to drive that into the ground. So what did I compare it to?
I don't know. I stopped listening. Just kidding.
It was either like the female version of Ghostbusters or what other movie? Ocean's, what was it? 9? The prequel that came out with all the girls.
I think it was 8. I don't know.
It was one of those numbers.
Number.
It was a number. People just kind of trash things because, all women casts or, a woman lead when, I think one of the best things I saw Brie Larson talk about in an interview was, women have been paving the way for a long time. It's just when things become, in the spotlight and become important and valuable is when they get pushed away. So, what? I see you clenching.
I was burping.
Okay.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
It looked like clenching for my...
I think the biggest thing that the Ghostbusters thing suffered from is you had that I say vocal minority of assholes that are like, I'm not going to see this because these are women. These aren't my Ghostbusters. But you also had the vocal minority on the opposite side. And if anybody knows me, I say that, 10% on both sides of this argument are just these vocal assholes.
Yeah.
But you had the people on the opposite side that said, if you don't like this movie, you're sexist. And there's a group of people that just don't like the movie because they don't like the movie.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And but that movie just suffered from that whole debacle. And I never really sat down and watched the whole thing. But the parts I saw were actually really funny. My only beef was that the ghosts in the original Ghostbusters looked better than the ghosts in the fucking one that came out, years and years and years and years later.
Which has got nothing to do with the women acting in it.
No.
It has everything to do with...
I like Kristen Wiig. I like McCarthy. I like Leslie Jones. And I like the girl who's Kate McKinnon. But I'm excited about Captain Marvel. I mean... You guys are too cool to like Marvel movies, but
I like Marvel movies. I like Marvel movies and I like DC comics is what I found in general.
See, I like Marvel and I like DC. I like both cinematic universes and I like both comic universes. The thing with me is that and personally Marvel's sometimes too bubblegum, I guess, is how I've described it to my friends for me, like personally. Mm-hmm. I like the darker tones of most
There's
DC
not enough
comics.
angst and
suffering
for you.
There's not enough angst and
She
suffering.
needs some dead parents.
I do.
Otherwise,
I need dead
DC's
parents.
kind of garbage.
I need dead parents and I need Riddler. That's my main thing. Is
that's fair enough.
Marvel
I can't argue
doesn't
with
have
that.
Scarecrow or Riddler, and
But if you want actual darker real world stuff, Image is way better than
They're
anything
brutal.
that DC puts out.
Cinematic wise, Marvel does have way better movies.
Oh yeah.
I'm not gonna try and defend like DC's better just because I like DC.
You can't trump Disney's production budget
no,
or
God,
anything.
no. But I really like.
If you want to get dark, just say Disney. Every fucking parent is dead in the whole damn thing,
Also
except
fair.
for 101 Dalmatians.
Do you know why?
Why?
Walt Disney's mom died. He bought his parents an apartment.
Yes,
and
the
there was like
water
a gas
heater
leak,
blew up.
or something, and his mom died in
Yeah.
it. Then he felt guilty. So like ever since then,
We watched the documentary, the Walt
we
Disney
did.
documentary on Netflix.
It was really
They went
good.
over
Nice.
that. His brothers, the brothers bought that house for their parents. And yeah, the water heater or
I
the
heard
heater
some
furnace
gas leak. Yeah.
furnace blew up and killed his mom. Yeah.
and he always felt guilty about it.
Weird
so.
Al's parents died of a carbon monoxide poisoning.
Oh,
Yeah, both of them.
Both of them, yeah. I don't know if he bought the house.
I don't know if the same level of guilt is there.
Now
but
carbon monoxide detectors are required in every house in California.
which is good.
I don't know about the rest of the country. The rest of the country's backwards.
They are.
I was trying to think if I had one in my last house, and I was like, I don't remember. Hopefully
It's a
somebody.
requirement.
It's a requirement. It's like a health code requirement.
Although there's a lot of ones that are smoke detectors that are also
Carbon
good.
monoxide.
carbon monoxide.
Good
Which is a little
things.
bit more expensive. Not that it matters. California is a progressive state. They kind of lead the charge in a lot of things.
Thank goodness. What?
That hour and 42-minute episode, I did not make one cut.
You did not? Oh, God. Even when there was that point where you walked away?
Yeah.
Wonderful.
Let's see. I'm trying to think of what else we talked about. We talked about what we did in the shadows. Did we talk about anything else last time we were here that we want to talk about now?
I can't remember.
I was gonna bring out as like a throw out topic. If we could throw in the new Pokemon games.
The shield and sword
Shield
thing?
and sword.
Gun.
I didn't read anything on it.
There is a backlash. It's been an ongoing backlash that like Pokemon just give up at some point in time. And like the main thing now is people are really hating on the logos for this game because it looks like somebody like a 5th grader got access to Photoshop and like slapped a shield on it. It was like, this is it. This is the one.
I
And
really
then
fucking
sent
hope it
out.
stops.
Yeah.
I'm
I'm part of the like I understand it's never going to because like the formula works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. But
it's frustrating though. Like I know it's not in the series of games, but I have friends that have been playing. I stopped playing Pokemon Go, but there's people that are playing it, and it's the same fucking thing.
yeah,
Every day, over and over again.
Corey.
don't talk to Corey. He has like 3 phones for it.
What's funny about that is he was like, "Oh no, I'm done. I stopped playing and all this stuff." And then I see him. I was like, I can see you post shit on Facebook. Like it alerts me when you post on all these Pokemon, and you're not in San Diego, Corey. Post on the fucking Virginia Pokemon Go. Shit, he probably does.
It's a whole nother level.
Yeah, it's just it's
I love Corey.
how is it? I do too, but how is it there's nothing that changes.
What makes me sad now, the only like qualm I really had with it is that the Pokemon, they released the starter images for this game, and the Pokemon don't look like Pokemon. They look reminiscent of Digimon a little bit. Like you have to look them up and tell me. But they don't have that sort of like Pokemon.
I saw him earlier.
They're
I
running
haven't
out
seen-
of character designs, or they ran out a while ago, and they're really like trying their best. But it's hard to make a new 300 to 400 like.
Do you like? Do you guys like Conan O'Brien at all?
Occasionally.
Do you know who Cody
Yes.
O'Brien is?
I
was
don't avidly
listening-
follow, but
I was listening to his podcast, and they were asking him about Pokemon. They said, "What is your favorite Pokemon?" And he's never played a single Pokemon ever. So he, for maybe 8 to 15 minutes, he just started spouting off random names, and he would describe the entirety of this Pokemon that he made up on the spot. Because I mean, he's a quick-witted guy, and is this them?
yes, those are new starters.
Yeah,
Like they don't. The grass one maybe, but the other two don't quite look like Pokemon.
See, like I still play Pokemon Go
Same.
after my year long. I'm not going to play this game. Don't get me to play this game because I knew it was a rabbit hole. Like I lived.
but usually I get Katrina hooked on something, and then I stop playing, and which is what I did with this. But I played this game for 2.5 years.
That's like the only Pokemon Go and like the new like those are the only ones I like can't get into. I keep trying to so that I can play with like
I like
this
hatching
one and
eggs,
Corey.
and I like doing the daily activities.
Well, Niantic is also putting out a Harry Potter themed one, and I'm dropping fucking Pokemon. I don't play. I played in Florida just so I could get Pokemon for friends because there's region exclusives.
Right.
But I did
Potter
that.
one.
But yeah, Niantic is coming out with a Harry Potter one.
You're gonna see me running around in my robes. I hope you know that. Wand out, phone
well,
in
like
hand,
I'm wondering
robes.
what the extent's going to be. I was like, are you going to be able
You're
to
a
challenge the
Gryffindor, right?
wizards
Yeah, I'm a
and
Gryffindor.
You could
that's
easily
just
be a
sort of.
Slytherin.
I could. My like I took the official Pottermore quiz, and then I took like one of those like random internet ones that's like, what 2 houses are you? And it was like
there is only one house.
Gryffindor. It was like 54% Gryffindor and then like 50% Slytherin and like personality wise, but Ethan's a Slytherin and Mom's a Ravenclaw Slytherin mix.
Parker and I have taken it multiple times on different things, and it's always Ravenclaw.
When I took it the first time, I was like 14 and I got Gryffindor, and then like I lost my account and then I retook it and I got Gryffindor again, and then me and my friend Megan, she's like pure Slytherin, we retook it, or like we both retook it because we lost our old accounts, and she got Slytherin and then I got Slytherin, and we just were like, no. It felt weird.
What are you? Have you taken the test?
Ravenclaw.
Yeah,
I've gotten Gryffindor when I was like 14, but
Ravenclaw. It's the place to be.
My boyfriend's a Ravenclaw.
It's the place to be. I mean, the Gryffindors are the jocks.
Do I look like a jock? No, I'm just loud and obnoxious. That's where I come in.
I don't know if Hermione would classify as a jock.
Yeah. What are the rest of them? Maybe she should be in Ravenclaw.
Ron was smart.
I like that
when
whole
he wanted
thing that
to be.
When he actually studied and did his own work,
Yeah.
he was smart.
Exactly.
Fred and George were extremely
And
intelligent.
dropped out of high school.
They were still
I
intelligent.
mean, yeah,
They
big
were-
mood though.
That's just. I mean, I'm just saying they also were on the
Lots
Quidditch
of geniuses have though.
team. Yeah,
Yeah.
but they were on the Quidditch team, and they played like the roughest positions. Well, they were beaters, right?
Yeah.
I'm just saying. Ravenclaws are known for brains, which is I don't know how I ended up in that house.
Mom's was obvious. She's definitely a Ravenclaw.
And they're just always mean to Luna.
Yeah, that's
Throwing her fucking shoes up in the middle of
Rats.
nowhere.
that seems uncharacteristic.
Yeah.
Corey's
Go
a
check your
Hufflepuff.
people.
Huh?
That
Corey's a Hufflepuff.
makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I find funny because then Mom and Corey are Ravenclaw and Hufflepuff, and Ethan's a Slytherin, and I'm a Gryffindor.
What about Neville? He wasn't a jock.
No.
Yeah.
He was intelligent. He was
probably
smart.
You can see Neville being a Hufflepuff.
He was brave.
He was. Yeah, I guess he was.
He stood up to them in like
He was a
second
very
year.
brave coward.
He was. And you know what? That's what. It's not like. It's
What was
not-
his name that blew things up?
Seamus Finnegan.
Oh,
There you go.
Yes.
He's not a jock.
No.
What's unfortunate is at this point Ravenclaw's getting the short end of the stick on famous wizards though. Like we have
Up your game.
We have Flitwick, who is a world champion
Duelist.
and we've got Luna. Where Gryffindor's obviously got a lot. Hufflepuff has Newt Scamander, and
Which I think they would probably
Cedric.
argue whether or not
Cedric.
that was Cedric.
but and then Slytherin has countless famous wizards.
Ravenclaw's kind of
Yes.
like they're just not really given a spotlight because it's more of
They're above all that.
No, people just stop at as soon as somebody says, "Oh, they're smart." Like people just end it there. They're like, "I don't really care." But the other part of their house is being like creative and having like a different mindset, a different way to look at things. So it's very easy to write off in fiction, though. It's just, they're smart. Let's just leave it there and not touch it again because that's not as exciting as somebody who's gonna jump off a cliff. Like, you know.
The jocks.
See, what's funny is
Fucking jocks.
See, but we'll
Through-
jump off a cliff with like a hang glider and be cooler. The Gryffindors will just like drive off the edge and regret it
I
later.
will yeet. No. But what was funny is during high school, I was like the token Gryffindor of the group. Like to like this day, that most of my friends are Ravenclaw and Slytherin, and I have like 3 or 4 Hufflepuffs. But like I'm like still technically like I've not met like another like besides like Katrina like not met like another like Gryffindor.
I wonder if I actually
Don't
have any other
shake your
friends
head
that
at
are
me.
taking the test.
Oh, I make everyone. I'm
Our
like,
other co-host is a Slytherin, and it's fairly obvious. I think Brian's a Slytherin, fairly obvious.
I used to be very jaded about being a Ravenclaw the second time I took the quiz because I was like,
You want to try to change it?
it's because I'm Asian, isn't it? Like, got really mad at it because like all of the Asians I know are all like, yeah, I'm Ravenclaw. Like nobody's excited about it.
Parker wasn't excited the first time he took it, And then now he's like fully embraced it. He has like his Ravenclaw gear and his Ravenclaw hat and his
shirt.
Ethan the first time we went to Orlando was when Ethan was 11, and I made him take the quiz at 11, which is when kids get sorted, right before we left for Orlando, and he got Slytherin, and he's lived up to it every day.
He's taking it in stride.
Because he's very cold.
Yeah. I mean, and I think he gets Slytherin from Jonathan, but like a combination of like Jonathan and Mom have created this tiny Slytherin monster, and mixed with like me as like this like loud and anxious Gryffindor in the house is just a mess. We've made it work. It's okay.
That's what families do.
Yeah.
Oliver's not ready. He's only 6.
No,
that's fair.
I don't think he cares.
No, probably not.
You gotta make.
He's on a different level.
What do you think Oliver's gonna be?
Either Slytherin or Ravenclaw.
I see some Gryffindor in him, but that's just me. I see Gryffindor in everyone.
That kid, speaking to what she said, is he's very creative.
Extremely creative.
He plays like no kid I've seen, and he has this weird thing, and I don't know where he got this, but he can hear a song once and then hum the entire song back.
I think we mentioned this last time.
It is bizarre.
See, I was really, really creative as a kid too. I mean, I'm still really creative now. Like
I've always been on the fringe of
your creativity,
being creative.
I mean, like I come up with like when I was younger, like the things I would play with like my friends, like playing like made up worlds and everything like that was crazy, and like they've transferred into comics, comic ideas and comics that I'm like working on now, and it's like the worlds that me and Leo have built is like bonkers, and like worlds that me and like my friend Jacqueline have built, like, and we just have like sitting to the side that occasionally we're like, hey, remember this like entire like story we talked about one time in like a night? But I don't know if it's just that's the consequence of me being around Ravenclaws all my life.
I mean, there's also the concept of like houses don't define who you are, because like it could be arguably said that I'm the brave human being, and like I think both of my parents would probably also be sorted into Ravenclaw, but like my dad's reckless abandon. But he's a very creative like thinker. The way that he thinks is like, it took a long time for me to understand it, because my dad's a very like reserved person. He doesn't come across as reserved, but he thinks a lot. And like I looked at some of his artwork from when he was a kid, and he'll write like notes on the back of it from when he was in like
that's cool
high school before he dropped out. His like thoughts on the world were pretty wild for a surfer who was probably heavily intoxicated at the time.
Is he from here?
He's from Wilmington, North Carolina.
Okay.
So small town, but...
That's interesting. That's kind of cool.
Mm-hmm.
My mom would have been one of the people you saw in Nocturne Alley trying to score some sort of something.
Potion?
Yeah.
Yes. I loved Nocturne. When
she would have never...
Orlando.
Yeah, it's
I
so
love
cool.
Nocturne. I love going down there.
Just Diagon Alley is just so cool.
Oh, it's so much fun.
It is. I mean, there's rumors of them building it here, but there's never been a commitment to them to build it here.
I don't think there's enough room. And
well, they knocked down a huge soundstage to build the Nintendo Land here.
Yeah, they did.
And there's an expansion going in every year for the
next 3
years.
If there is money on the other side, they will make it happen.
Yeah,
listen, if there's no train, I'm going to be big mad.
Big mad.
The fact that the tickets have increased every time they put Harry Potter or anything. Have you seen the new Harry Potter roller coaster going to Orlando?
No.
It's a completely new, innovative roller coaster that's going to follow Hagrid.
Oh yeah, I did. Yeah. My friend Taylor showed me a little thing for it.
Looks
his
pretty cool.
Motorbike one.
Sounds like we're going to Orlando.
Yes.
It opens this year. Yeah, we've gone every other year for the last 6 years. So
I think I'm going to Mom's for the summer, so I'm just going to be like,
let's go.
Road trip.
I packed my robes.
We'll probably be there 2020 then, because we went
hopefully
2018. We say hopefully, and we've just done it each time. So. I'd say there's like a 75% chance we go.
Good things.
Well, the last time we did it, Parker had an awful time with school.
Oof.
I wanted to shoot myself in the head.
That's true. And then just tell me he can't go to any of the parks until he finishes all of it.
Oh,
he can just do all of it in one day.
Hey, sometimes that's what happens. I force myself to do that, and I'm like, I need to draw this thing, but I can't draw this thing until I finish my notes, and I like finish my notes in like 10 minutes, and I'm like,
he's on the upswing right now, so
he is. Long conversations.
Hopefully that keeps going.
We should probably end. This is over an hour.
Yep, you're well over an hour.
Thank you guys for coming back.
Anytime.
Thanks for having us.
Yeah.
You got we've got our beers and books coming up.
Books and Brews, the first ever graphic novel book club is going to be recorded the day after 2 more days. And it's not going to drop in 2 days. It's
coming at you next week.
Yeah. But if you guys ever want to come on and talk about anything, you can run the show. I don't care.
Yes, I would love that.
Always down.
I have, once I like actually start like posting more on like the comics account, I would love to come back on and talk about our joint comic, because
I'll sit back. You can just go for it.
There.
Or if you ever want to use the setup for that, if you need to.
I would. Yes, I have.
We make jokes about a podcast for like it was coffee, crime, and
Cryptids.
occasionally coffee, crime, cryptids, and occasionally cosplay.
Yes, that's what I want to.
That's a very
podcast
broad,
yes.
like...
Well, originally it was supposed to be me and Mom, and it was supposed to be Coffee and Crime. And then
it
Mom moved to
changed
Virginia, so then it was going to be me and Taylor. We're going to do Coffee, Crimes, and Cryptids, because I wanted to talk about, like, a mix of, like, some episodes being true crime and some episodes being, like, urban legends and, like, weird, like, stuff like that. Because I like it. I find it
outsourced to me to bring coffee. And I was like, well, shit, I don't know what I'm going to talk about on this podcast of just, like, torrential downpour. I was like,
especially since I can go for like hours on true crime just based off like pure memory.
I was like, I'll drop in, give like one sewing tip, and then laugh about stitching bodies together, and then like leave.
My portion is done.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, we have all the gear. You would just have to. We could email it to you, and you could figure out how you want to edit it, or Dropbox.
Dropbox is amazing.
Dropbox
it
is
truly
a beast.
is. It's a gift. We use Dropbox for color guard, and
all of the pictures from Katsucon are coming through Dropbox.
Nice.
Straight to Adobe.
I'm going to go to bed.
Okay.
Good times.
That sounds good.
Good night, Robert.
Good night. So that'll be this week's episode. I hate